Welcome to Olive Hill Machinery. If you're new to this channel, subscribe or give us a thumbs up on the videos. That really helps us out a whole lot. I'm Warren. This is going to be our introductory video. We're going to do a new project. We're actually going to do a series of videos. If you've been here before, you've probably seen some of our antique tractor videos or some other things that we've done. We're actually doing a series in conjunction with the some help from North Carolina Arts Council, Macon Heritage Center, and the Cowley School here where we live. We're going to do a documentary series over the period of the next 9 months. We're going to follow agriculture in western North Carolina and how it's different from some of the other places you may see agricultural practices. We're actually going to concentrate on what most people would call heritage agriculture. We actually raise some corn. We raise feed corn. We actually raised some white hybrid corn that we're going to make cornmeal out of. We have an antique Meadows grist mill that we're going to use for that. We're going to show you how that works over the period of the next several months. We're also going to raise some sorghum and make some syrup. We have a processor pot that we make that in. We actually have the cane mill to crush that and make the juice. But we're also going to follow some other things and just kind of do a good documentary series over the next several months, along with some other things along the way. I'm sure it'll be an interesting trip. Full disclosure, we're certainly not professionals, and this is going to be real life. Whatever happens, happens. If we plant it and it doesn't grow, then so be it. That's part of the story. Sorghum especially, sorghum's kind of tough. Very few people make syrup anymore, and it's a very difficult process. Doesn't look that way, but it is. And we'll do a full video on the syrup equipment, and then talk about the grist mill and some other things. Right now we're into the planting and the growing processes. We're also going to show you how we process some of our corn into cattle feed that a lot of folks don't do anymore. Last year our sorghum looked really good, cooked it out, and then I think I scorched it, so it wasn't any good. So anyway, that's going to be the story of this video series. We actually raise beef cattle. We raise the field corn. We will graze or harvest the corn for feed. A lot of people buy it for wildlife feed. Clint, the other party to this series, actually sells some for decorations around Thanksgiving, so we'll talk about that some. Grow a little commercial squash, a little bit of commercial sweet corn, a lot of weeds, have a lot of those. So anyway, that's who we are, that's where we're at, and that's what we're going to do. So today we're going to actually grind some corn. And I talked about in our introduction that we use some of our corn for cow feed. So behind me here, we have a hammer mill. It's actually a grinder mixer. It's not the antique that we were talking about. I've actually got a Meadows 12-inch grist mill that's got stone grinding wheels in it that we'll use for cornmeal later on. But this will probably be the last or close to the last corn we grind for feed this season. So I figured while we had a chance today, we would talk about the mill, and I would show you grinding some corn. So what we have here is a Gale 65 grinder mixer. It's probably 1960 model, somewhere in that neighborhood. Hooked to the truck. We're getting ready to take it to a different location, but I'll explain a little bit about how it works. Hard to do that one-handed. If you see down in there, those are actually the hammers. The teeth and the hammers are on down in the chute there. Corn goes in here, actually gets crushed, ground up into little pieces, then blows up out of this chute, comes up into this hopper up top, and you'll see dust come out of there, blow some of the dust out, and then the corn itself will come down into the bottom of the big mixer here. And you'll start to see, when we start grinding, you'll start to see corn or feed, ground corn and feed mix work its way up toward the top on those windows. And then when we're finished, I'll show you the grinding wheels up there in a minute, but when we're finished, we'll swing the auger out and mix that feed that has the right mix with it. Whatever we want to put in it will come out here, and we'll auger it out and probably put it in some bags and or put it into bins. We got some feed bins we put it in. So yeah, actually works fairly well. A lot of people don't use these anymore. It is some work. You got to have the corn, you got to have the supplements to put in it, but it's convenient and it's cheaper. We probably got about half in ours based on what commercial feed sells for. So, you know, other than a little work, it actually works okay. It does have a feeder system where you can dump your syrup or your sorghum mix or your protein or whatever you want to add in there in here, but I usually don't use that. I usually dump mine on the top because I don't like this auger. It's seen better days. And we also have a friendly spider that's living in here, so we'll leave him be. So up on top, I actually climbed up the ladder, and this is inside the actual mix bin. And what'll happen is all of this stuff's turning, and I might be able to show you a little of that, but it's really dusty. And now, as far as what we're grinding today, this is actually shell corn, so it's pretty much all corn. It'll actually grind, you take ear corn that's got cob and all. Once it's dry, and you can feed the whole thing in there, which you get a whole lot more volume. It doesn't care. Well, it takes a little more horsepower to turn it, but it really doesn't care. But shell corn is what we got, so shell corn is what we're going to use. And as far as what we're adding today, I call it syrup, but it's actually dried molasses. That's really sweet. 5% protein, but it's really sweet, and that's kind of gives the cattle the kick they need to eat it. And then you want to add some protein, and what I'm adding today is actually range cubes. They're actually 20% protein. Normally I would do a cottonseed meal or some other kind of mix to go in here to make this work, but right now you can't get cottonseed meal. Try to get some soybean meal, but right now you can't get soybean meal either. It's been back ordered for a couple of weeks. So we're going to use the range cubes, which actually work okay. We'll grind them up and run them through there too. That's kind of the equivalent of, well, it's cattle crack. Once they get used to that, they love that stuff. And they will come running to get it. Kind of semi-dangerous to be up here when it's running. But basically what happens is the feed augers its way up through that center tunnel there, comes out the top, and then that big mixer wheel at the bottom there just keeps rotating it back and forth and just mixes it all up once it gets in here. So there you have the introduction to the hammer mill. Let me put the chute back up, which is fairly difficult one-handed. I figured out filming this stuff's not quite as easy when you only got one hand. Actually, the filming is probably the easy part. Making everything works the worst part. So anyway, we're going to another farm we've got up the roads. We're pulling it with the truck. We'll hook it up to the tractor when we get there. We'll grind some. We'll leave some up there. I'll probably bag a couple bags and bring back home. Obviously, you've probably seen that we've had to make a few repairs along the way. Some of the auger flighting and some of the auger chutes or tubes there had some wear to them. So it is what it is. Works, price is right, does what it's supposed to do. They don't make them like that anymore. So here we go. Actually, this is plan C, I think, for today. It's Saturday. It's rained for like off and on for like 4 or 5 days, and I actually thought I might spray some today. We got some corn we need to spray, but had to work on our sprayer, and the weather doesn't look the greatest, and I don't want to put several $100s worth of spray out and then have it turn around and rain on it. So therefore we're not going to do that. So we're going to go to plan C. We're actually going to my dad's. He's actually out of feed, so he needed some, and this will get that done, and we'll actually make a little progress today. So here we have the finished product. Now, obviously, we had way more than this, but we filled up a bin at one farm, and I brought a couple bags of this home to feed here. You can see the corn, shell corn that we ground up. It's also got the sorghum in it, and you can see the protein pellets that are in there too. We could probably just do a little bit more corn in this one, but that's sweet. They like that. They've already been eating it at the other place, so I think we did okay. I guess this is a good time to introduce part of the other cast of characters who are very, very excited about their bucket of feed. And there's the bull, and I'm not sure what he's doing. Maybe he'll figure it out himself.